How's it going, everyone? It's Alex with AC Flips. Wanted to jump on real quick and do some live sourcing because there's so many Memorial Day sales going on right now. So I thought I'd show you how I'm taking advantage of all the sales. Let's jump right into that live sourcing. All right, so today we are going to be taking advantage of some of the Memorial Day sales running. There's tons of them. Go to Rakuten.com and look at the hot deals section, or just look at their homepage. They're doing a bunch of cash back. There's a bunch of websites running, 25% off sales. Their clearance is extra clearance. Just go check out some of those things. Today, I'm going to be looking at the Under Armour deals that are happening right now. They have, up to 50% off their outlet, as well as an extra 30% off. So some of these items can be, 60, 70, 80% discounted. So why not take a look and see if we can't find anything profitable. Going to be some live sourcing here. So stay tuned and see how I'm sourcing the Memorial Day sales. So what I'm looking for is more summer gear, right? Whether that's sandals or shorts or shoes or socks or t-shirts. We're not looking at, mostly sweatpants. We're not looking at sweatshirts. We're looking at stuff that is going to be trending over the next 6 months, which is mostly going to be shorts, t-shirts, shoes, stuff like that. So again, like a lot of this stuff is going to be pretty cheap, like $40 shorts down to 25, 26, and then an extra 30% off on top of that. So, you got to think we're getting like another $7, $8, $9 off, getting stuff pretty cheap here. So let's look at just some of these. I'm not really super familiar with Under Armour, like what specific listings are going to be good and what you need discounts for. But if we just look at some of these t-shirts, I'm just going to open a couple different ones that look decent. Tank tops usually look decent. Some of these boys shorts, I'm not 100% sure what does well, what doesn't. So I'm just going to open up a couple of them. Normally like the simple plain colors with a small logo does pretty well. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Yeah, there's some crazy deals going on. A lot of this stuff is super cheap. So I'm just going to open a couple of those and then we will dive into them. 7-inch shorts. Again, we're going to be skipping the pants. Maybe there's some stuff, some good luck with the pants and the sweatshirts. But again, I think the ranks are probably going to start to creep up a little bit higher than normal, just because it's going into summer, and most people don't want, a sweatshirt. So that's why we're skipping that. Even long sleeve, like I just don't think that's like worth looking into right now when there's so many, so much summer gear that could be really good for us. So, all right, let's take a look at some of these here. So we're going to open our Seller Amp extension here. We do have a couple different colors, and then this is the youth size. So ideally we are looking for a simple. This is just a simple with a logo here on the side. So not seeing it at first glance here. There's a lot of different like patterned clothes, not any solids. So this one's close, but it's not quite the same. It's on the logo is on the opposite side. So, but we can look for that Galaza 3.0 shorts. So maybe that's something to think about in the future. Looks like they don't quite have what we need here. So we're looking at Velocity shorts. So we will go on to the next one. Here's a Velocity short sleeve t-shirt. So let's take a look at the same thing. Again, there's a bunch of different colors, these are adult sizes here. So hopefully we can find some of the same listings here. We have Velocity short, but the rank is really bad. Here's a Tech 2.0 short sleeve t-shirt, not quite the same one, but I think we might have saved that in the future. So go down a little bit further, not quite seeing. We got Sport Style left chest t-shirt. Again, not quite seeing the Velocity, so we're going to move on. Freedom banner t-shirt. Maybe this is a little bit more popular going into the 4th of July. I don't know how well this will be ranked, but doesn't hurt to take a look. Here's the Freedom banner t-shirt. Okay, so it is ranked pretty high actually, 26K. Amazon is going to be on a lot of these Under Armour listings, but let's just see if there's any variations that they're completely out of stock on, and maybe, just maybe, we can find one that's profitable. Because if the cost is like a $26, $11.50, let's see how close we are. We're at $14.97. You take 30% off of that, that's below $11, around $11. So we should be able to find it profitably here. All right, so looking at the variations tab, we can already see there's a couple different variations that Amazon is not in stock on. So let's take a look at this one here. Right, we have the, it looks like a steel light heather gray. So we're going to open that one first. Another thing you can do is see if there is a discrepancy between the current Amazon price and then the current buy box price. Sometimes you'll see like, Amazon at 30 and then, the current buy box is like 26. That means maybe some FBA sellers are getting the buy box, which is a good sign. And then also something like this, we can see Amazon is not in stock, but there is an actual buy box. A lot of times on these listings, if Amazon is out of stock, the buy box will also not be there, but doesn't mean we can't use that as an opportunity. So let's take a look at this large steel heather gray. Currently unavailable, which means that it's actually no one in stock. So that's an interesting thing here. If we sold it at $22.50, is what Amazon sold it before, but actually they're listed more at like $26, or we could even try $30, because if we're the only one on the listing, now we're looking at $13. So let's just see if that color, okay, we do have the steel medium heather, royal, I think that was the right color, steel light heather. Let's see, does it look the same? It really does look the same. And unless they have another option that's, I think that steel medium heather versus light heather is going to be the same. As long as it's a royal, yep, royal. Let's see, 035 royal. This is 036 royal. Maybe there's a little bit of difference there, but let's just see if maybe they have that exact one. Okay, so they do have the steel medium with that royal, like the one we have there. So let's maybe look at a different variation, see if we can find one that actually we might be able to buy here. So that light heather, again, we don't have. Something like this where Amazon is out of stock, but there is a buy box. Let's see here. We have the Academy Blue steel medium. So let's see if there is that Academy Blue. There is. I want to see the front side. Okay, is that the same one? That's the question. No, it's not, because we need it to be a red logo. So it doesn't look like they're going to have the exact one that we need here. So we will probably move on to another listing. They don't have exactly what we need, which is fine. We will, well, let's see here. Men's new Freedom Flag t-shirt. That's kind of the Freedom banner. I'm just curious to see what the back side of this looks like. We do have the Freedom Tech short sleeve, but this is the Freedom banner, and that was the Freedom banner. So unless this thing looks identical on the back side, then we're gonna actually just move on to the next, just because, and it's not the same. Okay, good. So now we can move on. Let's take a look at this. So we want to see that Tech Tank. Here's the Tech Tank 2.0, 1K, so it looks pretty solid. Price is, $16 plus that 30%. Okay, so we do have a couple of sizes and colors, so let's take a look at the variations and see if we can get one that actually Amazon's out of stock on. Hopefully one that's a decent rank here. So it looks like they are in stock on quite a few things. This is the first one that I see that they're not in stock on, so let's see. Hopefully there's someone in stock. No, it looks like it's out of stock. It is the Royal Blue. It doesn't look like they're going to have the Royal Blue as well, which is unfortunate. Again, this is the outlet, so they're only going to have a limited amount of sizes and colors. So if we can't find what we need here, let's look a little bit deeper down the variations. Because this is a 1K rank, this thing sells really often, so we can go a little bit deeper into the variations and actually still get sales. So this was 4%. This had over 300 reviews, which is good. So let's keep looking to see if maybe we can get something in the 1% range that they're out of stock on that's not this blue color. Again, because we don't have the blue color available to us. Here's an Academy Black. That one's out of stock. That one we just looked at, this one, maybe that's in stock too. Let's take a look at this one, because this is the color we have. If it's a large or a small, I guess I didn't look. It is a large. So we have large here. Looks like it's in stock. Again, we're looking at $16. What you get 30% off of that. $11.20. What do you know? Got our first find here. There's only a couple people on the listing here. Amazon's really never in stock on something like this, but the good news is this thing has sold. It's at 1% of the ratings, which means that they have gotten enough sales to be somewhat of a selling variation. So again, we're looking at $11.20 buy cost on this, $7 profit, 66% ROI. It moves really quick. Let's just do a quick calculation on how many we think we can sell here. Again, this is showing that it's only 21 sales, but looking at this metric here, right, the offers tab, including historical, on something like this where we're going a little bit deeper on a variation, this data might not be the most accurate to look at because one, there's a bunch of question marks, right? We're looking at historical, and it's only showing 21. But one thing we got to think about is it's been out of stock for a bit. Over the last 3 months, it's mostly, out of stock, or someone is selling it used. If you saw that, used. So basically, the new offers on this listing over the last 3 months have been pretty low. So we can't really expect, there to be a ton of sales in the offers tab history. So what we want to do is just look at the variations. What percentage of the variation did this specific variation get? And it's looking like 1%, right? And we're seeing 58. But the one thing we do see is over the last 3 months, this listing did get ratings, which means people are buying it and reviewing it, right? So they're giving it a rating. And it's actually, even in just the month of May, we've seen like 4 or 5 spikes there. So that's a good sign. We also see the review count go up. So all these things are telling us that this thing is probably selling at least a couple times. Could be more than that. If we wanted to do the calculation, we see 6,500. We can type that in our calculator times 0.01, which is 65 sales a month. So since there's only 1 or 2 sellers, we could probably get realistically anywhere from 5 to 30 sales a month on this listing. Since it is such a low price and our margins are high, maybe we can feel a little bit better buying 10 to 15 of these at the start, and right off the bat that is going to get us let's see, a little over $100 profit. So in the first 5 minutes, right, of these sales, we are finding some good profits. So we're going to chalk that up as a win, and let's move on to one of the other shirts here that we found. This is the Under Armour Stadium Tank for women. Again, we're looking for the variations that Amazon is not on. Amazon does sell a lot of Under Armour, but luckily they are out of stock on certain variations. So Adidas is similar, right? They have, Amazon sells a lot of Adidas, but there are certain variations that they don't sell, and those are the ones we need to do some digging to find. And especially when they have outlet sales and extra deals and cash back with Rakuten, always something to take advantage of, and there's always opportunity to find profit here. So on a quick search here, I'm not finding any of these that are really good rank, these tank tops, so won't spend too much time on that. We're going to move on. Now we have some launch run shorts. Open up the seller amp extension. This thing is so nice for finding things quickly. I mean, if we didn't have this and we had to copy and paste the title into Amazon each time and open up new Amazon tabs and close out of them and move back around, it would take so much longer to source. So with this app here, it's so much easier to get through things. If you guys don't use Seller Amp, I do have a free trial in the description here in the video, so take a look at that. But let's see, launch 7-inch. Looks like we have a direct match here. Bunch of colors, and hopefully the sizes are the right ones. We have some in stock, so let's open this. We're going to be digging for those variations that Amazon is not selling in or doesn't have any stock in. So we'll have to go right to the variations tab and scroll down here. So this one, again, 4K rank, sells pretty quickly, so we can go fairly deep into the variations and hopefully still find something that is selling. So right off the bat, we're looking at the black shorts. They are completely out of stock on, and it looks like multiple sizes. So hopefully we can find something that is actually profitable here. So let's take a look at this top one. Might as well look at the very top variation. This is just black on black with a white logo. Let's just make sure, yep, so the logo is on the right side. Again, for some reason it says 7 sales a month here. It looks like something's wonky with the rank here, but man, no one in stock on something like this, but is the #1 selling variation. That makes not a ton of sense. Let's just do some more digging before we actually look at this here. So 530 reviews, maybe there's a glitch in the listing. They haven't gotten a lot of ratings, over the last 3 months, which isn't a good sign. The ones that are getting ratings are the ones that Amazon is in stock on. This one, the rating goes down actually. Let's maybe try to find one of these that the ratings actually go up when Amazon is not on it. I'm not seeing a ton of that. Let's look at the black small. Maybe I see recently there's someone rated the product, so 3%. Let's just take a look at this and just see what the data is telling us, because maybe they've just been out of stock on the color black for a long time, and then that's something we can take advantage of. So yeah, it's just so weird how the rank was something happened, you know, around this time frame where the rank switched. Maybe it merged listings with someone, and then, or even in this time frame too, something happened. But basically, this listing is now sitting around the 3,000 to 4,000. In this case, we go back far enough. We're looking for something that tells us, you know, when this was in stock at any point. $35 it was in stock. If we wanted to, you know, be competitive and actually get sales on something like this when there is not a lot of sales history, what I would do is list this around the price that Amazon's selling some of the other variations. So we can see $25.11, $23.99, $24. You know, this one's all the way up at $35, but the buy box is actually at $27. So that's an interesting one. We'll look at that variation as well. But anyway, I think we could probably list around that $25 range and still be profitable. So let's do that. Let's put our sale price at $25, which means max cost of $9. Do we get that with this? Does not look like we're going to get close enough. Even 30% of this is only going to be, you know, $7, $8 off, which is not going to be, you know, under $10. So we would have to keep looking for something. But let's just quick go back and look at one of those variations that Amazon is not getting the buy box, right? They're in stock, but they're sharing the buy box, and that's on some of these gray ones. So pitch gray, reflective large, reflective medium as well. So again, they're listed at 35. We're seeing a buy box of $27.94. Again, we might not be able to get a price low enough, but it's interesting to look at a listing like this where potentially, you know, Amazon is sharing the buy box with FBA sellers. So really good opportunity there. Let's take a look. So yeah, it looks like consistently Amazon is listed too high, and these FBM and FBA sellers are able to get the buy box at this $27.95. Kind of an interesting listing. We can also look at the buy box statistics to see the share. Okay, so this one seller is just dominating the buy box 100%. Amazon hasn't even gotten it in the last 30 days. If we go back further, now Amazon's, you know, getting it 13% of the time. Zappos, which is an Amazon Zappos, which is an Amazon brand, is also sharing the buy box here. So this is a little bit risky, right? We don't really see a lot of other, if we saw a bunch of other FBA sellers sharing the buy box, then maybe it'd be something we want to consider a small purchase of. But when we see one seller dominating, they have a lot of reviews, and then Amazon is basically the next highest, it doesn't really tell us that we're going to get a lot of sales anyways. But $27.95, that $11 is still going to be too low. So we're actually going to move on to the next variation here, next listing. So we have Velocity V-neck. Hopefully we can find the V-neck. Should be pretty low rank. Yep, 3K rank here. Looks like we found Tech 2.0 V-neck. Maybe that's not quite the same, but it is. Yeah, it doesn't say Velocity. Ideally we'd like to see Velocity V-neck and not like a Tech V-neck, because it might be just slightly different. We could look at like a style code and see if there's you know, if the number's the same there. So maybe we'll just quickly do that and see if the style code matches. So we'll have to do some digging for that style code. We can scroll down and see if we can find it in some of the descriptions here. Sometimes product description, they'll throw it in there. Sometimes product details down here. Looks like 1328190. 1328190. Nope, it's not the same. Okay, so that's a good you know, clarification there. We're just going to close out of that. We don't have the same listing. If we scroll down and try to look for, you know, the Velocity V-neck, we are not seeing that anywhere close here. We're not even seeing Velocity t-shirt. That's a good rank. So we're going to move on to a couple more products. Let's just look through one or two more and, you know, in this section here, and maybe we can find a little bit more profit. But we've done pretty good so far in just a short amount of searching. So that is a good sign for us. So we have these launch graphic shorts. Those have like a little design on them. Probably not going to be as good. We'll look at these like Speed Pocket 5-inch, and then we're going to go and try to find one that's a little bit, it seems like it could be a quick seller here. Project Rock duffel bag. See if I don't know a ton about like backpacks within Under Armour, but let's just look at that just for fun, because it's a major discount. I mean, we're looking from 140 all the way down to, you know, $70 or $80 in that range. So that's basically almost 50% off. So why not look at that? And then we'll find one more quick to look at, and we will end the video there. So maybe some sandals. I mean, these sandals are, again, super discounted, another $6 off of there. Yeah, let's take a look at those sandals just to see. They're boys, but you just never know. I don't know a ton about them, so why not take a look? So we're gonna look at these shorts here, Speed Pocket 5-inch. Hopefully we can find a direct match here. The gray is probably the best size we're gonna see here. So we do have Speed Pocket 5-inch. Hopefully it's a decent, yeah, the rank is not good. Amazon is the only one on it. Again, same thing here. We're not seeing that Speed Pocket launch 5-inch, but no, we want the Speed Pocket 5-inch. We're not seeing that variation or that listing on Amazon doing well, so we're gonna move on to the next one. This is the one I'm interested about. Hopefully they have a direct match, because this thing is crazy discounted. So we're looking at Project Rock duffel. Just make sure the title is correct. Yep, so it's just Project Rock duffel backpack. Not seeing a direct match right off the bat. There are some Project Rock backpacks, and maybe you know, something like this would pop up more towards back to school, but we're not seeing a direct match, which is a bummer. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Let's look at that sandal here. Last one, we have a sandal. Hopefully we can at least find a match so we can look. So we see boys Marathon Key 5. The rank is just not good enough for me to want to look into something like this, especially with variations, right? The top variation can be 8 to 10%. Well, the sales at 159K already aren't that high. So basically that's, you know, no matter what variation we pick, we're only gonna get a couple sales a month if there's only a couple sellers on there. So we're gonna skip that. So let's try to find one more listing that maybe actually is on Amazon and we can compare the prices, but I might have to scroll a little bit for that. Let's see, boys, Brahma. Let's just open up some of these and do a quick search on it. We got a Speed Pocket 7-inch with a couple more colors. Maybe that's a little bit more likely to be on Amazon. That Project Rock duffel showing up again. We have a long sleeve running shirt. Let's just take a look at that maybe and see if there's a direct match there. We do have a water bottle. Maybe the water bottle will be more likely on there. Okay, let's look at a couple of these quick just to find one more that at least has a match on Amazon. We do see that, but it's not a super good rank. Okay, here we go. We have Project Rock t-shirt. Looks like it's the direct match. And then hopefully, and this is men's, of course, this is a men's shirt, so we need the boys. The boys one is not a good rank, so probably not gonna be looking into that. This one is maybe a direct match, but maybe if it's a variation listing, 150K is just not really good enough for me to want to look into a variation listing. So let's keep moving on here. We got the Speed Pocket 7-inch. Hopefully we can find our direct match here. Looks like there are a couple Speed Pocket 7-inch, 180K, so even worse with the rank. Again, we're not looking at variation listings that high, so we're gonna move on to that long sleeve, and maybe we'll have a direct match with the long sleeve. 25.97, we can get that pretty cheap. So we got the Tech 2.0, that's a zip. This is heat gear, compression. Are we looking at the same thing? Nope, I see a little writing under the logo there. I guess we weren't gonna find a direct match here. I thought maybe there was a chance. Waffle Crew long sleeve, nope, not the same one. So we will keep moving on. Will we have some luck with the water bottle? Maybe. Under Armour Dominant Steel, stainless steel water bottle. Okay, so it looks like we do have the match here. It's a pretty decent rank. That price looks a little like it's gonna be tough to beat, but maybe they're not selling one of the variations and we might have some luck finding it, but at least we did find a match here. Good chance that they are in stock on all the variations, Amazon is, so we'll just take a look, glance and see if we might have some luck here. Otherwise, this will probably be that last product here. Yeah, it looks like Amazon is in stock on all of them. We can kind of double check that they're actually getting the buy box here by looking at their price versus the actual buy box price. Looks like they're not getting it here, or at least they're sharing the buy box here. Otherwise, all the other ones, let's just look at it just for, you know, an educational side of things. Let's look at, so it's 24 ounce. Yep, I think that's the direct match here. Maybe the color's even in stock. Got that breeze, bluish color there. But again, $22.97, extra 30% off. We're only looking at like a $7 off-ish. And we need to be at $9. So we're only gonna be at like $13, $14. So that doesn't quite get us there. But what is interesting is that Amazon is willing to share the buy box when their price is at $24.97. Actually, quite often they're sharing the buy box. And again, how we can determine if we would be able to sell this if we were getting it at the right price is looking over the last 90 days at the buy box statistics. Who is getting the buy box share other than Amazon, right? We see one other seller getting it 64% of the time, another seller 2%. And that one seller that is getting the buy box quite often has a ton of reviews. So some things to keep in mind, right? If you see a bunch of different sellers sharing the buy box on top of Amazon, that's a really good sign, especially if those sellers don't have a ton of reviews, right? The ton of reviews tell me that, could be some sort of wholesale distributor deal, or they're just a really reputable brand that is going to basically dominate the buy box because they have a lot in stock, they have a lot of reviews, and it's going to be hard to compete with someone like that, especially if all the other sellers on the listing are that way. This person here, 254 reviews, is not horrible, but again, they haven't had the buy box in a long time. Not sure if they still have some in stock or if they, sold out of their stock. So not an amazing sign, but that is one way how you can check if you think you could get some sales on an Amazon listing based on how much they are sharing the buy box with other FBA sellers. So glad we were able to find some profit today. So go out, find some Memorial Day sales and make some profit. Awesome. So I hope you guys got a lot of value out of me showing you how I am sourcing and taking advantage of these Memorial Day sales. I was able to find a product, which is awesome. So if you guys did find value, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I will see you in the next one.